Hi, my name is Debbie. I'm Owlandgatorstitcher. Welcome to Flosstube number 62. Today is Friday, October 27th, 2023. This is a video mainly about cross stitch, sometimes about what I'm reading and watching as well. I'm going to skip all the chit chat for now. We'll do that in a little bit because we're not pass and go. We're not collecting $200. I am going to show you my major finish. And those of you who have watched my videos for any length of time or have seen things on Facebook and Instagram and other, you know what it is. I have finished Cats in the Toy Box. So I am so excited about this finish. I started this, so here it is. I'm going to put it down and then I'll show you a little bit more. But I started this project on January 1st, 2020. So it was New Year's start. And I finished it, I can't remember now, Monday of this week, whatever that was, October 22nd, I think. Been a kind of a crazy week for me. October 23rd, in fact. So it's been a crazy week for me. I'll get into that, but this has been my focus project really for the past almost 3 years. In 2020, basically all I finished was the first page, which was nothing but these stripes and the tip of the kitty ears. So you can see that was a lot of background and not a lot of motivation to stitch on it. But when I made it my focus project and I worked on it, I don't want to say every evening, but a lot of evenings. It's something that I really wanted to get done. So this is, hold it up a little bit more. So this is Cats in the Toy Box, charted by Heaven and Earth Designed, artwork by Leslie Ann Ivory. So I'm going to pull it in so you can see a little bit more. So you can see you got some sort of stuffed little horse and the big old gray kitty there that looks like one of my old kitties that I had that crossed the Rainbow Bridge a long time ago. Got the monkey and a couple more orange looking kitties. Little teddy bear, a little green. I don't think we've ever reached consensus if that's a seahorse or a dragon or something. Come over so I can see what you're looking at. Got that Raggedy Ann type doll. Got that sort of very colorful kitty. Whitish with, but like lots of pinks and blues. And you got that koala bear, and you got another little tabby that has a very strange expression on its face. Got the clowns there. I know some of you don't like that, as well as those two little teddy bears and that little horsey thing. So this has been a lot of fun. I started this, I did buy a PDF of this, and I had a PDF of it and I was doing it, but I printed it out and was doing it page by page. And then I finally jumped on Pattern Keeper. I had heard about it for a long time, but like a lot of people, not like a lot of people, but I heard about it from so many people. But I'm like, I've done paper patterns my whole life because I've been stitching for over 30 years and I've been doing full coverage for 10 to 15. I know how to do it. I'm just going to do it the way I was. And then finally, so many people talked about Pattern Keeper. And I just went out and bought a relatively inexpensive Samsung tablet because I didn't want to have to deal with BlueStacks. Not that there's any problem with it, but I'm not the most technically motivated person. So I just put it straight on my tablet and there was no going back. So from there, I would do it cross country, sort of whatever color I felt like doing within reason and just sort of within the frame of the Q-snap. So I did initially start... when I started this, I did initially start doing it on the diagonal and a true diagonal, not a stepping, like block of 10 by 10 stepping down. I did not like that. It was just having to rethrow my needles. Obviously, you can see up in the frame, there's lots of different colors here. And then even in these stripes, it's not, this is multiple colors in these dark and these red stripes. Two things about this pattern that frustrated me. One is my own fault. You can see up here, the basket goes above the rest of the frame. That's my own fault for not noticing it when I started stitching it. I think had I known, I may have not done that or done something a little bit different. Nothing wrong with it. That is the way the artist intended it. And I've seen plenty of things where you basically have a rectangle and then you have a few things coming out from the side. The thing that frustrated me the most was on this side. It went down one row, and I literally mean one stitch across, not a block of 10. It went down one row, and then about halfway down, it just stopped. And I wrote to Heaven and Earth Designs to ask if there was a mistake, and they said no. The artist's artwork had a slight curvature to it, and they kept it in the charting. I have to say that really frustrated me. I know that they want to be true to the artist, but at a certain point you can straighten it out because this makes artistic sense. Lopping off one stitch here, it's nothing but frustrating. So I did go down and just at the very end, I literally was pulling colors and I just did one row, one column down, and just basically like wasn't trying to match what was next to it or anything like that. I just took a strand, did it, and two of the colors I actually picked, like that killed off the skein, and then the last one I just did. And so I'm very happy that I did that because I don't know. I mean, this will definitely be framed. I normally do not mat my pieces. I've seen some beautiful mats out there, but when it comes to full coverage, I don't know how much the mats add. There's so much going on in here. And quite frankly, if a frame went a little bit over, this little outside bit, so, so be it. That's what happens. That's part of the reason why you mat. But I think the thing that is causing me concern is how do I frame it with this part here? And I've gotten lots of good suggestions. Obviously, if I get a mat, I would have them cut this little piece out. Another suggestion is just, have the frame come up to here. And if that bit is cut out, so be it. It's not the end of the world. I mean, there are other, it's the top of the basket. I think most people won't notice it. A little bit of that kitty tail is cut off, for example. Not really the end of the world. The other thing is to have the frame just come to here, so then I would have a white strip. Honestly, my inclination is to just cut it off when I mat like that. I mean, when I frame. And I will get it professionally framed. And the reason why I am concerned, I don't know if that's the right word. This is a big piece. This was about 141,000 stitches. This is 2/1 on 18 count. So this is up next to me. You can see how big this is. How big this is. Yes, sorry. I'm wondering if my English is okay. The size. It's going to be expensive. We do have cats. That's probably not a shock, given I did spend a lot of time working on all these cats, how much I love them. We do have cats, and cats means kitty litter, and that means just dust in the air. And so for these big pieces, I like to have them have the glass on there to keep the dust out, to help keep them a little bit cleaner. I obviously will wash this before I take it into the framer. Basically, I pull it out of a bag, and it's not that it smells bad. We don't smoke. But, it's my stitching. We have an open plan house, and my stitching chair is basically the kitchen. There's a counter with sink and all that kind of stuff. But and I'm not stitching on it while I'm cooking. But there's still cooking odors in the air, and just life. I've been handling this thing for 4 years, and so it's not that it smells bad, but sometimes when I pull it out of the bag, I kind of get a whiff of, not some nice fresh smell. So I will just hand wash it probably. I definitely will hand wash it. I have, either with Dawn or with, I have some Quilter's soap that you can use that's supposed to be good as well. I haven't entirely decided. There is a little bit of Krynic in here, so that'll make ironing a little bit challenging. But honestly, I'm not so worried about ironing. There is going to be no fabric showing. And so there's no real big push, within the piece itself. There is nothing that really needs to be ironed. I probably will just to give it a little bit of crispness. But I'll be careful. Basically anywhere there's a true white, that is Krynic. So anyhow, that is Cats in the Toy Box. And I am so excited that I completed that. I have to decide on another real focus piece. That is yet to be decided. I'll show you something that I'm going to work. That will be my next evening piece, but that will be done within the next month or two. So I need to think, like, what am I going to do in 2024 for my evening piece? And I want to take an existing piece. I don't want to have a new start. So anyhow, that was Cats in the Toy Box. So now that I've not passed go and not collected $200, like I said at the beginning, let me go back and sort of rewind a little bit and have a little bit of chit chat. So it's been about 2 weeks since my last video. to read a message. My husband is out of town. So anyhow, it's been about 2 weeks since my last video. And as I mentioned in my last video, it's a lot going on. I volunteer with our local friends at the library, and they do a semi-annual sale. Now, I know lots of library systems have Friends of Library groups. They are wonderful organizations that help support your local public libraries, and they all have a little bit of a different flavor of what they do, but a lot of them support programs at the library that don't have a regular budget. Our Friends of the Library, however, it's like massive unto itself. They've been having sales, I think, since the 1950s, and they were fortunate in the downtown area to obtain an old warehouse. I don't know when they had it. They've had it for quite a while, but it's huge. And so while it's a wonderful location, it is not an air-conditioned warehouse. And given North Central Florida, nowhere near the beach, not having an air-conditioned or even heated warehouse in the wintertime can make a little bit uncomfortable at times. So it's not a great place to be a warehouse. It's got very high ceilings with a lot of fans going. But I've only been volunteering there for a couple of months. Usually I'm a book sorter, and that happens only once a week. First day I went, it was like September, and like I drank so much water. It was so hot. It's cool. It's cool. It's, now it's only in the mid 80s. So it's not unbearable anymore. But anyhow, that's neither here nor there. They had their week sale. It goes on for 5 days, and the books are priced very reasonably. And so the first day they had a line, all the way around the block to the point where, went out from the front entrance all the way around the block, swung around the next block, came back to the back entrance. And so, and I think they can only have 450 customers at a time in there. So the first day, I went in a little bit early and helped them do some of the prep. And then I worked as a cashier and then a restocker. So a lot of people at first, like the ones who are waiting in line, some people who waited 12 hours in line, they're coming in their book resellers. So there is what they call a collector's corner. So some people who come in and they buy really, they want to buy things that they think they can turn around and sell for a much higher price. And that is like very cool with all the people who run this thing. The idea is to get books and, raise funds, and, we are not a business. We don't want to hold on to things and, forever with the hope that we'll get a certain price for them. The idea is to get books out. And one thing I will say, it's part of the pleasure of doing it is people are so happy. You have the book resellers who are getting really great bargains on books. The books, normal book prices are anything from 25 cents up to $3. There may be some textbooks and other things which are more expensive, and obviously the collector's corner, which has like signed and first editions and stuff, are much higher. But that's sort of for your average, nonfiction or fiction book. That's what they're selling for. And then they have that for 3 days, and then they have the half price day, and then they have what they call the 10 cents days, which is about 7p for my friends in the UK. So that's where literally you have people who work at flea markets who come in that day, and they're not even sorting. They just go, they're like, we know our customers like this particular, they like mysteries, and they just literally go in, wipe off shelves. The DVDs, that's what I there are people, we really stream. We do have a DVD player, and we're sort of it's in the bedroom. We have to go watch TV in the bedroom, and then we don't do it. So we haven't gotten rid of our DVDs, but we don't watch them. But there are plenty of people who still do. And, if you can buy, a year of Seinfeld for 10 cents and sell it for $1, you can, whatever. That's what they do at the flea market. So anyhow, the book sale raised almost $180,000 for our programs at our library. Now, there are some expenses they have to do with maintaining the warehouse. But for the most part, every single person who is there is a volunteer. So that was a lot of fun. It did cut way into my stitching time. And then also on top of it, I've got some of my let's put it this way, the elder members of our generation are having some health issues right now. So that also is a bit of a concern for me. So that is distracting me a little bit as well. But I do have some stitching to show. So you've heard enough about book sales. I get very excited. I love my books just like I love my stitching. So let me go ahead and show you what stitching I did do over the past couple of weeks. Now, obviously, Cats in the Toy Box was a big part of that, so you've seen that one. But the next one I want to show This is called Ghostly Greetings, but it says have a spooktacular Halloween. And this is from an old issue of Cross Stitch and Country Craft from the 90s, so a vintage piece. And what I did, I'll show is the bow, but what I want to show you here, because the bow, it's done, but this is the back stitching here. And I just love like this little face on the bow. I haven't done it, so my little nose on the bow doesn't really show yet, but it's just like a little clever detail that the first time you look at it, you don't see it. And then it, like, as you look more, you see it. So here's where I am now. So you can see I've got the centerpiece of the bow. I still have the ribbon on the side that I need to do like over here. And, but I got to start on that. And well, I pulled this out because obviously Halloween is in a couple days. So I wanted to make sure that my Halloween piece, I've got other Halloween pieces, but this one got a little bit love. And I also really wanted to pull this out because Laura, Stitching by the Shore, her birthday was a couple days ago, and she has what she calls the birthday pumpkin sale. I believe that's the hashtag on Instagram and in her Facebook group. And so all you have to do is stitch on something that makes you think of a pumpkin. So it could be a pumpkin or a jack-o'-lantern or even a squash that might be a pumpkin or something orange or something that, there's so many different colors of pumpkins now. So her attitude is, she's very open and inclusive. So it's whatever you want it to be. So I pulled this one out. And again, this is a vintage piece, so lots of back stitching. I'm fine with it. I have done some of the back stitching like on that kitty and on that jack-o'-lantern. Have not really done much with the candy corn yet though. So I'll get to it. But that's a cute one to work on. So that is Ghostly Greetings. Next one I pulled out was This is Welcome to the North Pole from Primrose Goddess Stitches. And I am doing this on 18 count Earl Grey from Grace Knits Fabrics. And it's a very long skinny piece as you saw from the cover. So I started this in August at the Grace Knits Stitchers Retreat or Stitching Retreat. I think that's what the official name is. And basically I use this. So, which obviously there should be an E. I didn't quite get to the E. I am using so it's charted in mostly weeks with some DMC, and there might be like a gentle arch or two in there. But I did the whole DMC conversion. The fabric color is sort of a beigeish color, for lack of a better word. But I like the way this gray looks. But that did mean I had to darken up the teals in this because they were, I think they were like 38, 10 or 11 or something. And it was fading too much in it. And again, like I also did these little lights that are down here, Christmas lights. I wouldn't have cared if those had been too light, but when it came to the North Pole, I really wanted that to pop in the fabric. So I did darken up the teal here. Also did a little bit of the snow here when I wanted to do just sort of not heavy counting stitching, let's put it that way. I do have a personalization. I think this O is one stitch over too much this way, but I figured the E here, I have to do a little bit of machination, but it's not the end of the world. It'll be easy enough to fudge. I was not at the point where I wanted to start pulling. I think I noticed it when I was working on the L. I just didn't want to pull it out. I have met her, but I didn't really talk with her. Jean at the Attic, her, I guess I hear a lot in her videos and from other people. She's like, her motto, to paraphrase, is keep moving forward. And so that's sort of my attitude. If you can fix it without it looking really weird, go for it. So that's what I'm going to do. So that is Welcome to the North Pole. All right, the next piece, another large piece I'd like to get done this year, and I'm more or less on target to do it. This is Huckleberry Farm from the Blue Flower. And so I have now completed everything except for these center motifs down here. So here's what the whole thing looks like. And so basically what I did this month is I basically just did the border on this side. I still have no idea where I've made the mistake in this. I know this is tight. It's not supposed to be this close to this thing here. I know somewhere up here I made a mistake in the vine, and it's one in too much, and that wasn't a big deal. But somehow when it came down here, this was 3 stitches too close, so I must have a mistake somewhere in this thing. For the life of me, I can't find it. I'm not frogging. I'll figure it out. And one of the great things about the blue flower and her pieces, borders don't touch. They don't even at the bottom. In her charting, it's not a perfect straight line with even the figures. So if you've got a mistake, it is very, very forgiving. So I should have this finished by the end of the year, assuming I have stitching time, which I don't see any reason why I shouldn't, but I always like to preface it because I feel like if I say, oh yeah, I'm going to get it done, things will conspire to make sure I don't get it done. So next piece I want to show you is, this is Magic Steady from Rose Con, artwork by Rose Con. This is the rainbow version, charted by Heaven and Earth Design. This is not a max color or anything, but it is, and it's not, you know, super size or anything like that, but it is fairly large. I am doing it on 25 count, 1/1 full cross, and here's where I am now. So basically on this, I pulled in, I did quite a bit of purple basically, and then I had a few ninja stitches around these lights here, so I was filling them in. So I got it, just if the color was here, I did it, and then if it popped in other places like here, I went ahead and did that. So loving the colors in this, especially in this part. These are, you know, blues and purples and teals are some of my favorite colors. So a lot of fun to work on this part right now. I like my bright colors generally. So even though I may not be a yellow person in real life, certainly I can't wear yellow, it doesn't bother me. So I'm sure I'll like stitching with that as well. And so just a lot of fun to stitch on. Because it is 25 count, sometimes my eyes can get a little tired. So don't always work on it as much as I could, because sometimes I just want lazy stitching. And this just requires a little bit of extra concentration. Okay, next piece I also want to show you. This is by far my largest piece. So this is another piece by Hade. This is Magic. It's just the one I showed you. Did I show you the total wrong one? No. I probably did not pull out my cover for this because I don't see it handy. Oh no. Anyhow, so I'm just going to talk about it. This is Grand Library, also by Heaven and Earth Designs, artwork by Amy Stewart. This is the supersize max color. So I started in the bottom left-hand corner, which is what this is, but which is not my normal starting. I'm usually in upper left-hand corner, but on the piece, because this thing has, I think, 714,000 stitches, I am being a little bit realistic and saying, good chance I won't ever get this done, so I might as well work on the parts that I like the best. So down here, it's sort of mystery. Up here, it's the next shelf above is romance, and then I love that center panel with the fireplace and the cat and the dog and all of that. So basically what I worked on this time, I wanted to get to this. Basically, it's not a straight line across, but this is the bottom of the hut next shelf. And so I basically wanted to take the colors up to that shelf and then where they came in, and it was easy to stitch. So that was a lot of dark colors here. And so where they have popped up over here, so I moved them over here. This is a little thief who is stealing some artwork. And then also you can start to see here, this is a brick wall. So you can see the lighter colors are not ones I've put in, but you can start to really see where the bricks are going to come in. Amy Stewart does such a great job of putting in details into her artwork. That's part of the reason why I really wanted to make sure I did the supersize max color. It is one of those pieces where being able to get down to that level of detail, I find, is critical to really capture the artwork. And so really enjoying it. I'm kind of sad I didn't pull out the picture for you, but I don't want to have to go digging through all my bags right now, especially since my cat is actually on the bed, and every time I touch a little something, she gets a little bit upset. And I think she might be part of her might be on top of the bag that would have that cover photo. All right, and the last piece I have to show you is 3 dancers. This is from Stitching Jules Designs. She gifted me this pattern. She gifted patterns to a bunch of Flosstubers who at the time had under 1,000 subscribers. And her only thing was, please work on the piece and show it on your videos. So I was trying to not split the time with Cats in the Toy Box, but I had certain targets I wanted to hit with Cats in the Toy Box. And then also this one. Those sort of fell to the wayside. Sorry, the light is affecting how I look. Those targets sort of fell to the wayside over the past month or two because I was putting in so much effort into Cats in the Toy Box. But now that's done. I have more time for this. So here is where it is. So this is all that is left. Just this bit down here. That is maybe about 6,000 stitches, which given this is going to be my evening stitch until I finish it is really not that much. So I may not finish it in November, but by mid-December, again, assuming weird things don't happen, I should have this one completed. And you can basically see most of the image in here. And I just think it is absolutely lovely. Again, orange and yellows in real life are not my favorite colors, but they're stunning the way they're coming through on this. And then I just love the way that these 2 dancers that are really coming out, their colors are popping against that as well as the blue. And I just love the way you can feel like the light is behind the dancers on the stage, which gives them this sort of very silhouette-y look in a way. So I just think this is a lovely piece. All right, that is all of the stitching I have to show you. I have no stash acquisitions. Well, I bought like a couple packs of beads and stuff, but I don't think you need to see that. And so that is all I have for the stitching. But because I am all the way under here, I am so happy about it, I am going to show this one more time. Woohoo! Cats in the Toy Box, if I can actually get it. Okay, so the last thing I want to talk about is a book. So if you're just here for the stitching, thank you so much for stopping by. But the book I do want to talk about is The Heaven and Earth Grocery Store by James McBride. And it's a little bit hard to describe what this novel is about, but it starts off I think it starts off in 1972, about that time frame, and construction workers are digging up a site that they're going to build something on, and there's an old well, and in the well they find a skeleton with a mezuzah. And mezuzah, for those who are not aware, it's something that many Jews will put on a door frame, and you'll see people touch it when they go in and out. So it's a sort of a Jewish symbol. And so because of that, they go find the only Jewish man who is in this small town in Pennsylvania, and they start asking him questions, and he doesn't really answer the questions, but it then flips back to the 1930s, and it talks about this community in Pennsylvania in the 1930s, and it's the poor versus the not poor, let's put it that way. And rich or middle class, no one is super wealthy in this town, but it's those who have and those who do not. And those who do not initially are basically Black migrants from the South. In this case, I think most of them are from South Carolina, and as well as Jewish immigrants from many different countries in Eastern Europe. And they are, and while they do have their own separate communities, they're sort of living in the same area of this town, and they're living in the part of town that no one wants. The people who run the town don't want to give them any money and, infrastructure and all that. But basically, it's called the Heaven and Earth Grocery Store because there is a Jewish woman who had polio as a child, and as a result, she has a limp, and but she's the kind of very open person, and the store, which services the poorer part of town, it doesn't matter who you are. You come in, she gives credit to someone needs credit. And so she's just loved because she's helping out this whole community regardless of race, religion. And then you also see in this town as more and more people start moving in, poor immigrants from others. So there's like Italians and others that are coming in, and to her, none of that matters. It's that she sees someone in need and she wants to help them out. And basically and her husband owns a theater that does like live shows, and he has a Black man who works with him, and he has a very good relationship with them. For her, it's a much closer relationship. And the nephew of this man, his parents pass away, and so he basically takes this kid in. He is deaf, but it was something he acquired through an accident, so he can speak, but he doesn't speak sign language, but he can read lips, and he can communicate because he can talk. And basically, the state wants to take this kid away. Very long, convoluted story, and that's sort of how it sets up. There is a local KKK chapter, but they do a parade once a year, but they're not going in burning down everyone's businesses, or they just sort of, it's the attitude of, we just want you to know you're here, and if you, so yes, there's a feeling of intimidation, but they're, beyond that intimidation, they're not beating people up, they're not burning businesses, they're not doing that, but sort of, I hate to use the expression, but I'm going to use it, keeping people in their place. But obviously, like, they know who the people are because there's a shoemaker in this, and he makes everyone's shoes, and so he knows whose shoes they are. So they all know who the KKK members are and don't like them, and goes through all that. So anyhow, but it's just a really touching story. For those of you who don't know James McBride, he is a Black man. The first book I read for him was actually, I don't want to exactly call it a memoir because it was about his mother, but it's called The Color of Water. And his mother was a white woman, but he never knew her family. And he was raised, so she married his father, and she raised their family in her husband's community. Like, she never introduced her son, and so his son knew nothing about her. And then it comes out that basically she was Jewish. She was raised in I think it was an Orthodox family. It's been like 20 years since I've read this. I read the book, so I don't remember all the details, but a very, very religious Jewish family, and but not one full of love. And so she rejected that community in favor of one that was rich in love. May have been a poor family, but it was poor in money, but rich in love. And so he is in a unique position as he would, of writing about both the Jewish and the Black communities, and from the perspective of poverty. So anyhow, this book, despite a lot of the depressing themes in it that I've raised, it's still a very touching book. And yes, bad things happen in this book. But again, like I was talking about his other book, The Color of Water, what these people lack in money, they make up for in love. And so it's a really beautiful book. So I highly, highly recommend it. Have it in a grocery store. Probably one of the best books I've read this year. So with that, I have been talking for a little bit over a half hour. So if you stayed this long, thank you so much for staying. I don't know when I'm going to come back in. As I alluded to, I'm having some things going on in my family right now. Nothing to be done, but it could be distracting me for a while. So I do hope to come back in November and do a video. But if I don't get a chance, I probably won't be back till January, simply because I don't film in December. December tends to be a busy month for all of us. And there is so much content on Flosstube that I'm sure you won't be hurting to find other Flosstubers. But I do hope to come back some point in November and do a video. And hopefully have a little bit more stitching that I had to show in this one. So until my next video, everyone, thank you so much for stopping by, and happy stitching. Take care.